What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. We was asked if we were going to do any of the new season of Dark Side of the Ring. And season 4 Dark Side of the Ring started off with a bang. As it usually does. And the first episode they did was the story of Chris Candido and Tammy Sytch. Now, I am a fan of Chris Candido. You know how? The whole podcast is named after Chris Candido. The whole No Gimmicks Needed thing is a Chris Candido thing.
But you got Hogan saying it. I
don't have Hogan saying it. I have Shane Douglas saying it.
Oh, no, Shane Douglas. Okay, my
come on now. Give me some credit. You first of all, if you would have heard a brother after that was Hogan. No gimmicks needed.
He has a famous promo where he says no gimmicks needed. That's what I was thinking of.
You talk? Oh no, I ain't got Hogan saying shit. No, like, that is
y'all have to see it though. But yeah
that actual soundbite in the beginning is from Shane Douglas on the Chris Candido documentary. Mm-hmm. When he was in the ring, and then he called him Mr. No Gimmicks Needed, because that's what it was. Chris Candido. So we get the story of that. Now look, all of us out here know how toxic Tammy is. Yes. But the unfortunate thing is we don't, a lot of people don't know the whole story of Chris Candido a lot. And this thing, it was a really heartbreaking story, because Chris Candido only lived to be 33 years old. Mm-hmm. And Chris Candido fell in love with wrestling at 12 years old, even made his little makeshift promotion that he had. They talked about, they talked to his mom on here, they talked to Lance Storm, they talked to, who else they talked to on here, Brian?
His brother.
His brother, yeah.
Terry Reynolds for some reason.
Yeah. Well, Terry Ross was obviously for the Sunday part, and how you know
who I'm surprised didn't show up?
Who?
Jim Ross.
You said you were surprised he did show up, or you surprised he did show up?
He did. Yeah. I was looking age. I'm the one that signed Chris Candido. I'm surprised he didn't show up.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Jim Cornette was there too.
Yeah, of course, Jim Cornette gonna probably be on all these things too. Mm-hmm. They talked about his love for his wrestling, and then his mom was talking about how he saw up in the bleachers that he saw Tammy in the audience, or because I think this was in high school, wasn't it? Where he fell in love with Tammy, and he left his prom date to go hang out with Tammy. And his mom didn't approve of that, but he really loved Tammy. And the thing was, Tammy, I want to call Tammy since he called it Sunday, wasn't even into wrestling. Mm-hmm. But she had, she had charisma, and she actually studied to become a doctor.
Really?
Dead serious.
That's frightening.
It is now, looking at what's going on. And Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which was Jim Cornette. He had signed Chris Candido and Tammy, and the thing was, Tammy wasn't a wrestler, and then he was like, how am I going to get around, because they were a unit, and he said, we're going to make her a manager. So what Cornette did was that they were in this town that was hella Republican. They hated the Clintons, so they had Tammy go out there and play this character that was all for Hillary Clinton. And that was, all about women's rights, stuff like that. And they booed the shit out of her and stuff like that. They was just, it got some of the good heat. And then when she was doing,
you don't have the right to make a vote.
They it showed how so Tammy had this charisma, about her, and which got them signed to WWE as the Body Donnas. Like they came there as a fitness couple.
Okay.
Like a whole body fitness thing. And that's where Chris Candido was, because I remember the Body Dolls, and I was just like, ugh, this is really? And he was who was his partner at the time? Prime,
Tom Pritchard.
Yeah. And Tom Pritchard talked about how Dr. Tom Pritchard talked about how much he hated that gimmick anyway. But then all of a sudden, Sunny started getting over as the manager, as she was the most downloaded. Terry Reynolds said most downloaded woman, most downloaded person on AOL in like 1995.
That's true.
Wild.
And for all of y'all young ones who's listening to the podcast who don't know about the dial-up,
You've got mail.
and that AOL and how it took like 5 minutes to for that picture to come in clear.
Yes.
That she was trying to get.
Absolutely. Don't let somebody pick up the phone. It's over.
Oh my God! It just hearing that.
Oh
God! That dial-up town. Oh my God! And how she was really getting big in there, big, and Candido was going nowhere. He was going nowhere. He had the wrestling, but he didn't have the charisma like Tammy did. And then that's when the real drama started.
I'm looking at the of his story because I didn't know who he was. So.
Okay. Oh yeah, I love Chris Candido. And he was very good, by the way, too. If you gotta go, because he used to do that like power bomb from the top rope. Like, before Mike Awesome was doing it, Chris Candido was out there, was knocking him down. Then they went into when she started getting popular, and now she started hanging out with the top guys, Shawn Michaels.
First of all, looking at all these segments that they did on TV, I'm like, how did he not know?
Yeah, exactly, because everybody knew but him.
But I'm like, even on TV, Sean is like kissing her and eating cake off of her face, and I'm like, they're not even supposed to be a couple on TV, and they just doing like,
oh Jesus,
yeah,
that's insane. So
it caused issue because she cheated on Candido with Shawn Michaels, and
I have to go watch this episode.
Yeah, it's a good one. Was D1, and Candido know that Shawn Michaels is the top guy, so he can't go and beat his ass because he know his job be over.
It's over.
Yeah,
but
taking out some Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, but then everybody lost respect for him for not doing anything in the locker room.
Oh no!
So he's at a rock and a hard place here, and it wasn't going good for him in a WWE at all. And there was talk about how Shawn Michaels made sure that Candido was at the bottom of the clock. Because look, the clique back then was running shit.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, hey, look, like Jim Cornette, who hates Shawn Michaels. He said the only reason why, only people that go find Jesus, somebody who needs somebody to talk to. He don't like Shawn Michaels at all. So he never would like Shawn Michaels. So then they go into when Chris Candido and Tammy went into ECW.
Yeah, that's when he kind of created his own thing, because he was just, all you had to do there was just wrestle.
Exactly. And the No Gimmicks thing was really the start up there. So just like Paul Heyman, the shitty promoter that he is, and how that Chris Candido was it? I think he was injured, but
this man said, I think my neck just hurt. It'll be all right. They said, sir, you have a broken neck, like as if you've been in a car crash. He said, oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Not oh my bad.
So Chris and Tammy were working backstage, with like a lot of wrestlers did in ECW, and they were responsible for, was it booking the flights, Prime?
Yeah, booking the flights in the hotels.
In hotels for different wrestlers. Which, so they were using off their credit cards, and whatever money they were Heyman will reimburse them in cash. Then the cash stopped coming.
I about to say, this sounds like it's about to be bad.
Yeah, and then the cash stopped coming, and then they went into, what was it, over $10,000 in debt?
Yeah,
and
because of Heyman.
Because of Heyman, and he lost his house.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's horrible.
Which caused a downward spiral into the drug. Now, Chris was not a guy that was into drugs.
Chris was Paul Williams.
Oh,
you know what?
One day.
You know what?
I don't know what happened. He was drinking milk, and then it was just...
That was the most accurate thing I think I heard.
Yeah.
He was like Paul Williams. It was clean as a whistle.
It was clean, and then one day.
Because Tammy wasn't.
Obviously.
Then, and like I said, she had the personality. She can go back to WWE. She can go manage the Road Warriors.
But the thing is, though, they said that she wasn't clean. She just did it when she was around them to look cool. But other than that, she wasn't using it. And then I guess when some clicked, but
it's some clicking that she just started going down the road. But down,
because you can't.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that, especially if you have like an addictive type personality.
Yeah.
You like, I'm just doing this to be. I can stop whenever I want. Now you cannot.
They now they're focusing more on Chris.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris goes and gets his life together. Mm-hmm. Like I want to go and I want to be a professional wrestler again. I want to go back and do what I was doing good best. So he gets himself cleaned up and goes and comes to TNA.
Okay.
Back when TNA was in the heyday in 2005.
It was something.
Yeah, and he was doing good in TNA. And
were they still together at this point?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
no, they weren't together when they went to ECW.
They weren't even together with ECW, but
they was like
together on screen thing. I was like, this is not going.
Oh wait, but hold on, real quick. They were kind of like, because like when Macho Man and Elizabeth, when they got divorced in real life, they were still together on WCW because it was like, you want to sit them together. But I just want to mention this real quick. Paul Heyman, because Chris Cadena was out and Sonny had like a little drinking problem or whatever problem she had. He interviewed her like documentary style and asked her about her drug problems.
What?
Yes, he did. He did do that.
Documentary style.
Dark Side of the Ring or is this something else?
This is in Dark Side of the Ring.
Wow. I'm about to go see it.
No, like real life, he was like, so why are you into drugs? And she was like, I don't know. He was like, and what does that make you feel? She was asking questions like that. And they aired it on like
was wild. He was a wild boy.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. Who work in this wrestling business? Who fucking?
I'm gonna say working in this wrestling business here. I feel like you gotta be.
But I think that was part of her suspension or something. It was like either fire her or wasn't it like either she gets fired or she got to do this interview or something like it was one of like an ultimatum and she did the interview instead.
It was along the lines of one of those things.
Yeah.
So in TNA they have this annual pay-per-view called Lockdown, the 6 Sides of Steel type thing. So
first of all, keep going.
No, I want to say you go ahead and say it.
No, I just want to say why is the cameraman in the ring? Like
so he had this match in Lockdown. It was Lance Holt. He and Lance Holt was facing Sonny Sakai and who was the other person?
I don't know. That did not look like Lance Holt. Lance Holt looks so much different now.
He do. So there's a cameraman inside the ring. So
why?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm saying because also.
Well, I mean, it is a cage match, so they try to make it like, we can see inside the cage. What it's like.
Exactly. So when you see all these Hell in a Cell matches, or these cage matches, or these fucking Punjabi prison matches, or Elimination Chamber
again, they better not ever do that shit again. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But Elimination Chamber matches, there's always, unless you're there live to see it, there's always a cameraman inside the ring, so you can see the action from home, not behind the cage. Mm-hmm. So there's always somebody in there. Well.
I like what they did after this though, when they put the holes in the cage and they just put like a camera on the side of a camera and then they just put the camera hole in the cage.
Exactly. So there was a spot that Chris about to take a bump on, but he sees about to run to the cameraman. So he doesn't want to run to the cameraman, so he tries to sidestep. When he sidesteps, he breaks his shit.
Whole thing just twisted the wrong way.
Yeah, just twist the wrong way, he's out. So he's like, I can't get up. So, and they had to carry him out the ring. So his day was busted. So he came out a couple days later on. So
I think the pay-per-view was on Sunday, and I believe Impact was maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah,
at the time, and he came out on Impact.
Yeah.
And cut a promo, and
then
the next week was
and then he took a flight
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know if the fight was like something for TNA, something like that, but
I think it probably could have been back home or something. I don't remember.
he took this flight back home. And when he got back home, he called by and said, "Yo, I don't feel too good." And she said, "You should probably just lay down because you've been dealing with this. You've been going through that. Your body needs to rest. You've been flying stuff like that." So the next day, I don't know. I don't think it was his brother, but somebody came over to his room, and no, they couldn't get in contact with him, and they found out he was in the hospital. And they went to go visit him in the hospital, and then when they went to go visit him, then he was dead. And also, what happened was, that flight caused a blood clot.
They said that's not what killed him, right? Yeah, he died from pneumonia.
Yeah, pneumonia. Yeah, but I was saying, but they mentioned that also. But
it's like when you have surgery, you're not supposed to fly.
Yeah,
because you get blood clots and it causes stuff like pneumonia and easy to get infected. So
yeah.
he flew like right after he had the surgery, and the altitude,
Yeah. So when that happened, that caused pneumonia, and then he passed away.
That's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very fun. And it was a fun, especially seeing, because you see everybody that's sitting there, like from Lance Storm and Dr. Bruce, not Bruce, I'm about to say Bruce Pritchard, good.
Tom Pritchard.
The Tom Pritchard, yeah. And Jim Cornette, even he had to get it for a minute because it's just sad.
Yeah, I saw he was only 33.
I didn't even see Jim Cornette that sad on Brawl for All.
Yeah. So, and you talked about that, and what the impact that he had, and talk about how would he have been, a wrestler today because of, he was a smaller guy, but small guys are more able to, getting over more today than they were back then. So he's kind of lost in the sauce. And they really did good by Chris Candido. Tammy, on the other hand, they basically said, look, drugs, alcohol, bitch, jail.
I don't know why they even included her for
because they were a couple of linked. I think they wanted to kill two birds with one stone here.
Because people did say that they thought they should do a episode on her, and I was like, I don't want to watch a whole fucking episode about her. Yeah, because
originally it was supposed to be like a two-parter. Like, it's usually Dark Side of the Ring, they always open with like a two-parter. And so, but...
And then she mowed somebody down, and they was like, no thanks.
Yeah. And so, they was getting some interviews because her lawyer said it wouldn't be wise to come up on screen.
Hell no.
Exactly. So, it would just be like, so, talk from, like, a judge. And this woman got...
She getting her shine on? Sitting in my cell. I'm sorry.
She got no remorse.
No, she don't. She's crazy.
Tim, it's just sad.
I know that sounds horrible to say, but something is not right with that lady. And I'm sure it's from the all the drugs and alcohol. But when I saw all the stuff that like she most recently did, they was like, she's just like, it's whatever.
She needs to be staying there for a long time. She don't hurt anybody else. And that was the first episode of Dark Side of the Ring. I thought that was a really, like, they always know how to open with the dark sides of the rings. And I thought it kicked it off well.
It's a good series.
It's a very good series. I do recommend that you go and check that episode out.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll pop up on Vice.